Hello, fellow travelers. If you've ever felt a little tug on your heart as your cruise ship pulled back into port, if you've ever stared at the horizon and thought, what if I didn't go home? Then this video was made for you. These days, more and more young adventurers, digital nomads, and remote workers are asking a bold question. What would it take to live full-time on a cruise ship? No rent, no commutes, just sunrises at sea and a new port every few days. It sounds dreamy, right? But the truth behind that dream is more complex than Instagram makes it look. So today, we're pulling back the curtain. Stick around until the end, because what you discover might just change how you travel or even how you live. And hey, if you love smart travel tips and honest advice, hit that subscribe button and join our growing crew here at TravelVibes. Your next great adventure could be just one click away. Part 1. So, what's the real cost of living at sea? Alright, let's get real for a moment. Living on a cruise ship sounds like something out of a rom-com, right? You, waking up to ocean views, sipping coffee while dolphins wave good morning, and never worrying about yard work again. But let's hit pause on the fantasy and zoom in on what it actually costs. Forget viral headlines and dreamy TikToks. This is about hard numbers. Real dollars. Because before you start selling your furniture and mailing in your resignation letter, you've got to know what kind of lifestyle you're actually buying. Now, some folks in the cruise world are practically legends. Like Mario Salcedo, aka Super Mario, who's been cruising full-time on Royal Caribbean for more than 20 years. Not just for the Instagram clout, mind you, but because he's cracked the code on how to live at sea without sinking your savings. Here's his secret, and spoiler alert, it's not glamorous, but it is genius. He picks one cruise line and sticks with it, Royal Caribbean in his case. Why? Because it's affordable, has loads of ships, and offers a loyalty program that actually matters, especially for solo cruisers who usually get hit with sky-high single supplements. Then he chooses interior cabins. No view, no balcony, just 4 walls and peace. For many Americans, especially digital nomads, minimalists, or budget-conscious retirees, this is where practicality beats out luxury. You're not there for the room, you're there for the journey. Mario also chases the cheapest cruises like it's a sport. He hops from one low-cost itinerary to another, mostly staying in the Caribbean, where prices are lower and sun is plentiful. Europe and Alaska? Gorgeous, yes. But budget-friendly? Not so much. He avoids extras like excursions, casinos, and drink packages. No $1,000 bar tabs or overpriced wine tastings for him. Just Wi-Fi and a disciplined wallet. When you tally it all up, Mario spends about $200 a day. That's $72,000 a year, comparable to what many Americans pay for rent and living expenses on land. But here's the catch. It doesn't include everything. Add in souvenirs, insurance, the occasional splurge, and suddenly, your budget cruise life could start looking more like budget cruise fantasy. Still, it's worth noting, compared to the eye-watering $175,000 a year that Mama Lee spent living in luxury on the Crystal Serenity, or the $76,000 a year that Beatrice Muller paid on Cunard's QE2 back in her day, Mario's method is practically a steal. So the question is, could you trade a balcony and a view for simplicity and savings? Or are you the type who needs that sunrise selfie on the veranda? Either way, keep watching, because the next part of this journey dives into the choices you'll have to make, and some might surprise you. Part 2. When ocean views come with a price tag. Now let's say you're not quite ready to live in a cozy little cave. Maybe you're the kind of traveler who needs a balcony for that morning coffee ritual, or just wants to feel the wind in your hair without walking up 5 decks. I get it. Some of us need our fresh air on demand. But here's the twist. The price of that sea breeze can blow a hole right through your budget. If you take Mario's thrifty system and upgrade it to a balcony cabin, you're suddenly looking at a lifestyle that costs over $100,000 a year. And that's just for the room. Want to actually see the world while you're floating? A world cruise, like Royal Caribbean's 9-month journey, starts around $87,000 per person in an inside cabin. Travel solo and boom, the price jumps to around $130,000. Sure, those fares usually include drinks, laundry, even a few shore tours. But the question becomes, Are you paying for a life or just a lifestyle? Comfort and variety sound tempting, but if you're a practical explorer, like many young professionals, early retirees, or adventure-hungry couples in the US trying to stretch their dollars, consistency might just be the smarter compass to follow. Part 3. What no one tells you about living at sea full-time. So let's say you've run the numbers and decided, you know what, I can afford this. That's great, but don't raise the anchor just yet. Because while the money part is one hurdle, it's the hidden ones that can really trip you up. Let's talk healthcare. Cruise ships are great at buffet spreads and towel animals, but they are not floating hospitals. They're set up for motion sickness, sprained ankles, and the occasional sunburn, not managing chronic illness or handing out monthly prescriptions. And forget about dental care. Unless you plan to floss your way through every port, you'll be paying out of pocket or waiting until you're back on land. And don't even get me started on insurance. Finding a long-term travel policy that covers cruising full-time? It's like searching for a needle in an international haystack. Now, here's a detail that surprises a lot of folks. Even when you live at sea, you still need a land address. That's right, Uncle Sam and the bank still want to know where to send your mail. You'll need it for taxes, voter registration, banking, and yes, even your Netflix account. No ship is going to give you a zip code, and Captain Steubing won't be sorting your mail. And let's not forget about connection, the human kind. For younger digital nomads or solo cruisers in the US, this can be especially tough. You'll meet fascinating people on board. Yes, but they'll be gone in a week. Starting new conversations again and again can get tiring. Deep friendships? Harder to build when your community changes every Saturday. Then there's repetition. Ports begin to blur. You've seen the same salsa dancers, listened to the same piano guy in the lounge, and yes, you've politely declined the same overpriced shore excursion for the 5th time. That thrilling adventure can slowly start to feel like you're on a loop. And just when you've settled into the rhythm, bam, the ship's going into dry dock. Or it's been chartered for a private event. Or, yep, a global pandemic hits, and suddenly your floating home is not so permanent. That means rebooking, relocating, and hoping you don't get stuck in the dreaded middle cabin with no closet space. And here's one last speed bump. Logistics. There's no single, stay forever cruise package. Living on a ship full-time means manually booking cruise after cruise, sometimes over 40 in a single year. Syncing dates, cabins, and itineraries becomes a full-time job. Except now, your office is somewhere between Cozumel and Key West. So yes, full-time cruising can be magical. But it's not without its plot twists. And for many would-be sea settlers, these practical barriers are what bring them back to shore. Part 4. So, are cruise ships really okay with you living there? Now let's address the oversized question mark in the corner of your stateroom. Are you even supposed to live full-time on a cruise ship? Well, here's the honest and slightly awkward truth. Cruise lines, they're not exactly rolling out the welcome mat for permanent residents. In fact, they'd prefer if you came, sipped a pina colada, watched a magic show, and then kindly disembarked at the end of the week like everyone else. Cruise ships are built for short-term fun, not long-term lifestyles. I once chatted with a cruise officer who told me, off the record of course, that having long-term guests, especially older ones, can quietly strain the system. When daily care starts shifting from towel service to actual healthcare needs, the cruise simply isn't equipped for that level of support. And this isn't about age discrimination, it's about the infrastructure. Cruise ships are floating hotels, not floating assisted living facilities. No matter how friendly the staff or how beautiful the dining room, there's only so much help they can give before it becomes a safety issue. For you and for them. Part 5. Cruise life meets condo life, the $1 million option. Now if you're sitting there thinking, well fine, I'll just buy my way into a ship and stay forever, you're not alone. Some folks have taken that idea and made it a reality. But buckle up, because the price tag might make your wallet faint. There are a few ships out there that function more like floating neighborhoods than vacation spots. Take the World Residences at Sea, for example. It's basically a luxury apartment complex that happens to sail the globe. They've got 165 private units, from studios to sprawling 3-bedroom homes. The catch? Ownership costs millions, and that's before you even consider the yearly maintenance fees, which start at around $113,000. Then there's Storylines, with their Ship MS narrative. It's designed to be more affordable, and I say that with air quotes. Their smallest studio starts at $350,000, plus a $55,000 annual fee. You do get stability, some onboard healthcare, and a ready-made expat community. But for most Americans dreaming of downsizing and cruising into retirement, this isn't a retirement plan. It's a lottery win. These ships aren't vacations anymore. They're real estate at sea. And while they take away the stress of constant booking and offer more long-term amenities, they also sail far, far outside the budget of your average cruise lover looking to live simply. Part 6. From fantasy to float plan. How to actually make it work. Alright, so you're still on board with the idea? Pun fully intended. Maybe you're a remote worker dreaming of trading your cubicle for a cabin, or a pre-retiree looking to shake things up without completely cutting ties on land. Good news, you don't have to go all in to live the cruise dream. A smarter, more sustainable plan might be going semi-nautical. Think about living at sea for 6 to 8 months a year, rather than all 12. It gives you the freedom of cruise life while still keeping one foot on dry land, for healthcare, family visits, or just those moments when you miss your own pillow. Booking back-to-back cruises in the same region, especially in the Caribbean or Mexico during off-peak seasons, can save you thousands. And don't sleep on repositioning cruises. They're longer, cheaper, and often include routes most people overlook. If you're racking up those loyalty points, make them work for you. Free laundry, drink vouchers, discounts, they're more than perks, they're part of your budget plan. And if you really want consistency, look out for cruise lines offering seasonal contracts or long-stay promotions. Oh, and one last golden tip. Keep a land base. Even if it's a tiny studio or a friend's mailing address, it gives you access to insurance, banking, and a soft place to land if you ever need a break from the buffet line. Part 7. Is this cruise life really your kind of paradise? Let's be honest here. Living in an interior cabin for months on end isn't everyone's idea of the high life, and that's perfectly okay. This kind of lifestyle isn't made for folks who crave 5-bedroom homes or sprawling kitchen islands. It's for a special kind of soul. Maybe you're the lifelong traveler, always itching for the next port. Maybe you're a solo adventurer who's more excited about new conversations than new countertops. Or maybe you're a minimalist digital nomad, someone who finds peace in simplicity and would rather wake up to the soft sway of the sea than a pile of laundry. This life is for people who measure wealth not in square footage but in sunsets, conversations, and surprise detours. For Americans looking to break the mold, live light, and see the world on their own terms, an interior cabin might just be the coziest ticket to freedom you never considered. Part 8. Busting the cruise life myths, one wave at a time now, before you go quitting your job, selling your house, and packing 5 pairs of flip-flops. Let's clear up a few myths that often float around like rogue pool noodles. Because while living full-time on a cruise sounds like a dream, it's not all sunset cocktails and shuffleboard tournaments. First, there's the popular belief that cruise ships are cheaper than retirement homes. That might seem true on paper, especially when you compare a luxury assisted living facility to a budget interior cabin. But once you factor in the lack of medical support, the cost of insurance, and the fact that you'll still need a land-based address for everything from tax forms to your Amazon Prime deliveries, that math gets fuzzy real fast. Then there's the "you'll never be bored" promise. Let me tell you, port fatigue is real. After your 20th stroll through a souvenir market or your 15th rendition of the same dance show, even the ocean starts to feel a bit repetitive. If you're the kind of person who thrives on variety and surprise, you'll need to actively plan ways to keep things fresh. And let's not forget the social side. Some people will think your cruise life is glamorous. Others will think it's weird. You'll need a strong sense of self and a good sense of humor to smile through both reactions, especially when explaining for the 50th time that no, you don't live on a yacht. But here's the good stuff. You'll discover how little you actually need to feel content. A few outfits, a couple of great books, a view of the ocean, and someone to chat with over lunch. Living in 150 square feet strips life down to the essentials, and for many people, that's exactly the peace they've been craving. If you're someone who enjoys gentle routines, calm mornings, and the occasional spontaneous adventure with a brand new table mate at dinner, cruise life might just be your happy place. You'll find a rhythm that's all your own, and sometimes that's worth more than all the square footage in the world. So, what does it truly cost to live full-time on a cruise ship? It's more than just dollars and daily fares. It's the cost of shifting your mindset, from ownership to experience, from routine to rhythm, from space to soul. You trade square footage for freedom. You give up clutter but gain clarity. And in return, you get something that can't be measured by money: peace, perspective, and a front row seat to the world. Because in the end, you're not just traveling, you're transforming. If the sound of waves ever felt like they were speaking directly to you, maybe, just maybe, you were always meant to sail a little longer than most. So if this video stirred something inside you, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe to stay anchored with Travel Vibes, and drop a comment below. Would you cruise full-time if you could? Or are you happy just chasing sunsets now and then? Until next time, pack light, dream big, and I'll see you somewhere out on the open sea.